Welcome back to Elevate from Burnout to Bliss. I'm Reggie.
And I'm Ebony. And today we're diving into a hot topic that's on everybody's mind. Should you start a side hustle?
Whether you're looking to put a child through school, fast track your retirement, or build a bridge to financial freedom, this episode is all about helping you figure out if a side hustle is the right move, and more importantly, how to do it without losing your mind.
We're talking real strategy, realistic time management, and how to use the knowledge and skills you already have to start stacking coins smartly and sustainably.
So if you've been sitting on an idea waiting for the right moment, this is the sign you've been waiting on. Let's break it down and help you take the first step.
All right, let's do it.
Let's do it. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and get right on into it. So as we mentioned in the introduction, today we're talking about this episode 14, of course, Burnout to Bliss, Elevate podcast. We decided today that the time is right and ripe, R-I-P-E, for us to have a conversation around side hustles. Mm-hmm. And I want to quickly set the table that we're not talking, and we've done other episodes where we talked about, starting a business and things of that nature. Today, we're actually not talking about that. We're talking about a side hustle, something that you're doing in addition to your 9 to 5. It could actually be in addition to your business. I own a business and I have side hustles. So that's what we're talking about today for a number of reasons. The time is definitely right to talk about that. But I just wanted to kind of set the table for what we're about to do.
Like he said, we're talking about any income that you make outside of your primary job, but it is great if that actually aligns with where you're going. So when you talk about side hustles, it should be intentional. It should be strategic, not just burnout in disguise, not just busy work, but something that actually builds options. Even though it may remain a side hustle, it still gives you options.
And it never has to grow into a business.
It doesn't.
It don't even have to be a launching pad for a future business.
Right.
So that's I really wanted to get that point across.
So why now, though?
The reason I think that this conversation is so appropriate right now is because there's a shift happening in our economy, in our world. Mm-hmm. But, world is too broad. So in our country and in our local economies, there's a shift happening right now. And some of us feel it, some of you feel it, but let me put it into words for you. We're at a time right now, this is a watershed moment. We'll look back at this time and say that's when things took a turn. Mm-hmm. So many of the institutions that we assume would always be here to kind of undergird our stability, they're either being taken away outright or they are being diminished or some on the chopping block to just be, just be gone.
And those jobs or those opportunities that your parents would talk about that were guaranteed.
Right.
Like there's no way this company or this agency would do layoffs or fire people. Right now, we don't know. From day to day, we don't know what's going to happen.
Exactly.
So you should bet on yourself.
Exactly. And so that's the shift that's happening. We're moving to a time period where we really have to be more self-reliant. Mm-hmm. People always thought that, Department of Education would be around to help their kids go to school.
Right.
Or Medicare would always be around to assist with medical costs in retirement years. Or Social Security even would always be around. Now, these things may continue to be, around in the future, but I highly suspect they're going to look vastly different from how they do now. So I'm telling you, now is the time to start to internalize the thought process that I have to do this for myself.
You mentioned the Department of Education and Social Security. Those are things, while we know that they hadn't always been around, they've always been around in our lifetime.
Right.
So we don't remember a time where those things weren't here. So to think that they may be shutting down, changing, being cut, is just a lot of uncertainty going around.
Right. It's very few people alive right now that lived prior to Social Security being, enacted. Mm-hmm. I think it was back during the FDR administration. Mm-hmm. So again, like you said, as far back as we can think, and maybe even our parents, it's been here.
Right.
But I'm telling you again, I'll just reiterate it for emphasis' sake. You have to start now about thinking, hey, I need to be more reliant upon me. Mm-hmm. Some of these things, they, again, not to beat a horse, but they just they probably not going to be there to help us the way they did in the past.
So you and I have had numerous side hustles over the years, but tell our listeners about some of them.
Well, I would just, I'm going to go to one that we talk about quite a bit on this podcast, and that's real estate. Way back I want to say 2009. I want to say 2009, 8, somewhere in there was when we decided to add real estate to. And, the thing about it is I never saw real estate as being something that was going to replace our full-time income. Never saw that. What I saw was initially what I saw was a way to buy a house, flip a house, take that profit, and pay off debt.
Right.
So I always had a specific assignment for the side hustle, and that's what I wanted to do. But of course, it's been able to grow beyond just doing that. But yeah, that's the one that again, man, it's been some years now, but that was the first side hustle that I think I really dug into, and it paid me.
Right.
It really truly paid me.
Right. At one point, I had a graphic design business, and that was not my primary job. It was something that I strictly did on the side. I enjoyed it, and I got paid from it.
Exactly.
And I never intended for it to replace my full-time income. It was just fulfillment and money. So it worked.
So the top reasons that I would say people start side hustles or are considering it, obviously the biggest one, obviously, is more
money,
income.
right.
More income, right. You think about this. I've shared this stat before. Most statistics show most bankruptcies could be avoided if the people in trouble had just earned $500 more per month.
Man.
Just $500 would avoid most bankruptcies. So it's and what that tells me is most people are just kind of right there. There's a very thin line between what's coming in monthly and what's going out. It's a very thin line.
And anything unexpected can interrupt that.
Can throw the whole thing off.
Yeah.
But now here's the thing, though. If you start a side hustle and you earn more income, you do have to be more disciplined.
Right.
And not allowing your expenses to creep up. But that's a whole different conversation. But the point being, again, if you just need some extra income, then and a 9 to 5 is not getting it, then now is the time. And we're going to talk about some practical ways you can identify an appropriate side hustle for you in just a little bit. But now is the time for you to say, you know what, let me do X to bring in just another $1,500, $2,000 a month.
And there are now, it's crazy that in 2025, there are so many ways to make extra money.
Man, way more than existed.
So many ways.
Yes.
If you just go on YouTube and put in side hustles, probably 500 different ways to make money will pop up.
Yep.
So
I hope this podcast pops up.
Right. Yeah. So some other reasons you talked about, the 9 to 5 may not be financially fulfilling. It may not be emotionally fulfilling too.
That's
so
true.
you may have a job or a career, but you have other interests, and that job and career is just not fulfilling you and giving you an outlet for these other interests.
Exactly. You know what you're great at your job. You're educated. You do very well at it, but you do that for the money because you're good at it. You're educated at it, but you deep down that's not your passion. And so here's how I always help people identify that. What would you do with all of your time if money weren't, and if you didn't have to go out and earn money? What would you do? And whatever that fill in the blank is, that's probably your passion. And I would submit there is a way to turn whatever your passion is into a side hustle. I guarantee you it is.
And then outside of passion, it may just be other skills that aren't being used. When you have a business or even work in corporate America, you may start out in a certain field and end up in a completely different field, but you have skills in field A.
Right.
And your job has just kind of crept and adjusted along the way. So you may have an opportunity to make money using the skills you have in whatever field A is.
Oh, yeah. And we're going to talk about that. How do you identify skills that you already have under your belt to turn those into income? For other people, it's just about gaining a sense of control. Again, you don't want to be kind of tossed in the wind and the waves by everything going on around you. I'm going to tell you something else, too. When you have independent income, that's not reliant upon someone else's mood, how they came to work, what's going on in their personal life, and you know, the bill collector's calling them. I'm talking about your boss, right? There's a sense of confidence. There's a sense of confidence that you can have knowing that this particular organization does not hold sway over your financial well-being. You know, not saying you're going to necessarily lead a place, but it gives you a certain confidence that you need to be able to, you know, move how you need to move.
I remember, you may or may not, it's been a long time. I remember when I was still in corporate America, I was having problems with my manager. Just problems on top of problems with my manager. And my work was always 100%. I performed well, but it was something personal with her. And I remember calling you and telling you that I had a meeting with her to discuss my performance. And you told me that if the meeting didn't go well, I could leave.
Yep. Now, the kids weren't born then, were they?
They were not born then. Exactly. The kids weren't born then, but I walked into the meeting different. Because I knew that if they didn't see my worth, I could leave and we would be okay.
Right. Yeah, exactly, man. Because, you know, again, you want to be in control. And, you know, he who has the goal rules. So, you know, take control. So, again, that may be. So I just wanted to explore some different reasons as to why, you know, starting a side hustle is the right move for you.
And we forgot one. What about people who are trying to transition out of corporate?
Yeah, well, if you're trying to walk a new path, you need something to walk on.
That's true.
So again, it could be transition out of corporate or maybe doing a different path within corporate. But again, you need a bridge. You need something that can hold you over until you can maybe you got to go back to school. Right. And you need the income to sustain you. That's how you started baking cookies. Well, it wasn't to go back to school, but yeah, talk about that.
Oh, definitely. So when we were pregnant with our youngest child, I needed a bridge. I knew we needed something else. I wanted to do something else, and I wanted to do something that didn't require a lot of thought or a lot of relationship building, decision making. And quite frankly, I love cookies. Yeah. So I started baking cookies, and Eb's Cookies was born.
And they're really good. People started to ask for them by name. So, but again, it just started out of a sense of, hey, I just need some income while I'm off work, blah, 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 blah. And there it is.
There it is. We talked about the reasons why people start a side hustle, but is it ever too late for someone to start?
Absolutely not. You know, let's go ahead and put that theory to rest right now. You know, of course, it's never too late to start something new. Some of the most famous people we know, some of the most successful people you know, did not hit their stride or even start what we know them to be famous for. They was around 40, 50 years old.
That's true.
And it's so easy. It's so easy to let age be the barrier that keeps you out. Say, oh, well, if I was 20 years younger, no, just stop it. It's never too late.
And when people say, if I were 20 years younger, do you plan on living another 20 years?
Right.
So if so, that time is going to pass anyway.
Yeah, so you are 20 years younger than you're going to be 20 years from now.
Exactly. But to your point, like Morgan Freeman, he didn't get his big break till he was 50.
What? So would that be Lean on Me? Was that his big break?
I don't know. But
yeah. Well, I think that's the earliest movie I can remember seeing him in.
I don't know if that was it either. And then
you used to call me Crazy Joe. Go ahead.
Then I remember reading that Maya Angelou published her autobiography at age 40. So that was the beginning of all of the massive works that she's done that we know her for.
So everything we know her for is after age 40.
40 and up.
Now that's very interesting.
Yep. And a couple other people, Ray Kroc, bought McDonald's at 52.
Right. I always remember, y'all, he purchased McDonald's. I'm glad you said that right. He purchased McDonald's.
He did not start McDonald's. Yeah. That's actually, what's the name of that movie?
The Founder.
Yes, that's a really good movie if you all haven't seen it. And then Colonel Sanders. He was 62.
KFC. That's right. And you know what? One thing I always learned from Colonel Sanders' story is that he was literally told no 1,000 times.
1,000 times?
Yes, to 1,000 potential investors told him no. until someone finally said yes.
That's crazy.
In his 60s. So, no, you're never too old to start a side hustle, y'all.
If you look up persistence in the dictionary, his picture has to be beside it.
Got to be right beside it.
Man. So, and what I want you all to remember, all of us to remember, is that experience is an asset.
Yep.
With experience comes wisdom, strategy, life skills, and all of these things that can take you to a new level. So instead of looking at your age as something, as a barrier, look at it as an asset that's leverage for you, not a liability.
That's right, because you've gained valuable experience in whatever it is you do for a living, corporate America, whatever it is that you've been doing, you have valuable experience that someone who has not been doing that doesn't have.
And each person has a unique experience.
That's correct.
Even if there's somebody that holds the exact same title, exact same job responsibilities as you, they don't have all of the life experiences that you have. So each person has their own set of unique skills that is impossible for anybody else to have.
That's exactly right. And in this next segment, we're going to talk about how you can use those unique skills as a starting point for your side hustle. Mm-hmm. But before we do, I just want to underscore some of the things, at least one important thing that we said in this segment here, and that's, remember this, y'all, not every side hustle has to become a business. That's not what we're talking about today. Some of these are simply going to be income bridges or purpose projects. Mm-hmm. All right, so I just want to keep that clear in front of you today. Today, this particular episode rather is not about launching business. It's about launching an income stream that you can do alongside your main thing. All right. So we're gonna
keep the main thing the main thing.
We're gonna keep the main thing the main thing, and we're just gonna add a little more to it. Mm-hmm. Put a little more spice on it. All right. So stay with us through the break. Again, we're going to be talking about where to start if you want to launch a side hustle. We'll be right back shortly. And remember, it's time to elevate.
Today's episode is sponsored by P3 Financial Group, where we enrich the lives of our clients by helping them plan, protect, and prosper. Call P3 for all your tax and financial planning needs at 901-209-4015. That's 901-209-4015.
The Elevate podcast is now accepting sponsors. That means you can get your brand heard by a growing community of go-getters, creatives, and purpose-driven listeners right here on the show. Whether it's a product shout-out, an ad spot, or a custom collaboration, we've got options for you. Want in? Hit us up at elevatenowtraining.com. Let's elevate together.
And we are back. You're still with Reggie and Ebony. This is episode 14 of the Elevate podcast, guys. And today we've been talking about starting a side hustle. You know, we left off the last segment talking about the fact that basically you already possess right now. Mm-hmm. You have skills, you got soft skills, hard skills. You have the things that you need, the tools to launch a successful side hustle.
Right, everyone does.
Everybody, you already got it. If you're in your 40s and 50s, trust me, there's knowledge you've accumulated that is valuable.
It is. And you can use those same skills to transfer into this side hustle. For example, if you're an HR director, then a good fit would be doing HR consulting for a small business.
You know, let me say that I hope one of our friends, if you've been working HR for a long time and things change, friend, you know who you are. I hope you're listening.
At a particular large company.
Yeah, so seriously though, you can use that information to launch a successful HR consulting business. There are many so here's the thing. There are many small businesses that can't afford to bring someone on with, you know, your particular caliber where you may have been. Now, I'm talking to everybody now, right? So, you know, if you're a high-level exec, small businesses need that body of knowledge, but most of them cannot afford to pay you like a Fortune 5
Right,
can.
they can't have someone on staff.
Not you know, full-time like that. However, they can pay in doses for consultation.
They can pay for consultation. You can be on retainer.
You can be on retainer, yes.
Or it can be a kind of ad hoc one-time thing based on the needs. But you have, the point is everyone already has skills that they need to be able to create a profitable side hustle right now.
Without inventing something new.
And those skills may or may not be what you're currently doing. Like what you're currently doing, that's an easy fit, easy transition. But you may have a passion for baking.
Mm-hmm.
And as long as that's still within your bandwidth to be able to do your main thing and baking, you may want a shift so that you're not having to focus your mind on the same types of things all the time.
Exactly. It makes a lot of sense. So when we think about the side hustles, one of the things that came to my mind were the 3 E's of the side hustles. So as you're trying to identify, so maybe hopefully this episode is speaking to you, and you say, you know what, this is something I need to explore even more. And we're going to give you 3 things to put on your mind. So I hope you're taking notes. We're going to give you 3 things to put on your mind that make sure your side hustle fits within just these 3 check boxes, okay?
So number 1 is expertise, which we were just talking about.
Right.
Does it tap into what you already know or already love?
Right. There's
no reason to go reinvent the wheel, to create this false passion about something that you're not passionate about it.
And really, for it to be a side hustle, we don't. It shouldn't be no long ramping up period to okay, I got to go put myself in school for X, Y, Z. Now, I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with that, but I'm saying that's something you do more for when you're launching a new business or you're taking your career in a different direction. Right now, we're just talking about something that you're going to add to everything you got going on in your life.
Right, low barrier of entry.
Yes, so that's why it really needs to lean on knowledge you already have, a skill that you already have, or a passion that you already have. All right?
Mm-hmm. What's the second one?
Well, the second one, again, is kind of right into what I was saying. It got to be easy. Mm-hmm. So what I mean by that, can you start it without quitting your job or selling your soul?
Man.
And what I mean by quitting your job, we got that part. Well, hold on. Let me say something about that. Depending on what it is you do for a living and who you work for, you actually cannot do that thing as a side hustle.
That's
so
true.
there could be some non-compete type stuff. It could be some clauses depending on what it is you do. So you want to be sure you're good there. But also the part about not selling your soul. Mm-hmm. When I think about that, I'm talking about without it deteriorating and just dragging you down mentally, emotionally, and physically. Because again, burnout is not what we're looking for.
Right, and this is supposed to be something that adds to your life, not takes away from it.
Yeah, we're trying to go from burnout to bliss. So we're not trying to do anything that's going to add any more burnout. Okay, so again, it should be knowledge that you already have. It should be easy.
It should not be stressful.
It should not be stressful.
And let me roll that back just a little bit. In everything, sometimes there's a little stress.
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit.
You may have to meet a deadline. A product didn't come in on time. It's fine for there to be a little stress in just the daily things that you do, but this shouldn't be a chronic stressor for you. If it is, you just stop.
Just stop, or I ain't going to say just stop, or if it did take the road of going into his own business, then you have to evaluate that. But again, I agree with Ebony 100% on that. If it should not be stressing you out. This is not what we're looking for, okay? And what's that third E?
The third one is earnings. Can it actually make you money without burning you out?
Right. You got to make money.
It's a side hustle.
If it then here's the difference. If it doesn't make money, but you still love to do it, that's fine. It's just a hobby.
That's a hobby.
That's a hobby, okay? And that's perfectly fine. Get you a hobby. But it's even better if your hobby can make you some money.
So, because we're both in business, one of the things that we struggle with, it's like a blessing and a curse at the same time. We see business opportunities easily. So, if our daughter crochets, we're like, great, you can sell it. But some things people just do as a hobby. And if they had to switch that into a business or a side hustle, it would no longer be enjoyable for them. So
that's true.
That's something to keep in mind. If you truly have a hobby, you can let that be your hobby.
It
doesn't have to be a side hustle.
You know what? One thing I want to say, and it's going to actually go back to something you said in the first segment. Staying with that example, because our daughter really does like to crochet. When you talk about earlier, you mentioned that there are opportunities that exist today that just did not exist years before. And here's one of them. You can take a hobby that you just like doing, set it up in front of a camera, and start a YouTube channel doing that thing.
So true.
You couldn't do that. There's a guy I follow. I think it's called Hood Fishing. I think that's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
I love to watch this guy. I love fishing. I sit up and watch him fish, which is crazy. It's another thing. I don't know why.
The SB mowing guy.
That's what I was gonna say. Y'all, I watched this other one. This guy just cut grass.
I did too.
And then
once you start, it'll come up, and once you start, you have to see the end result. You
right.
can't stop watching.
And I don't know why it's so interesting to me, but he's just cutting grass. But and he's getting, and most of the time when he's doing those, he's giving that yard away.
Right. Uh-huh.
But I'm sure he's making more from his YouTube channel. He can't cut that many yards. But anyway, so I say that to say, even if it's just a hobby in front of a camera becomes a YouTube channel.
It does.
And it can pay you very well, right? A whole different thing.
Take advantage of it.
Exactly.
So let's talk about some different things that people can do as side hustles.
Okay.
We did a little. I mean, we kind of just did with having people watch you do your hobby.
Just watching you do your hobby.
But some other things, if you're a teacher, that's an easy transition into a tutor.
Very easy.
Yep. If you're into tech and you're good on computers.
I want to go back to the teacher thing one second. Let me jump back. If you're a teacher and, obviously you're good at what you do, helping kids prepare for the ACT. Mm-hmm. It's very specific, or SAT, whichever one they're doing. Very specific, something like that. Mm-hmm. I know people pay for that.
People definitely pay for it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like I was saying, if you are a tech person,
right,
then you can make an easy transition into a digital content creator.
Very easily.
And all you have to do is go on Fiverr.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I can make flyers for $5, and people will come and pay you to make a flyer.
Right, and the $5 has become more of a bait and switch.
It sure.
Y'all advertise $5, but when you get it, this is going to be $2.25. Well, okay, let's knock it out. Here's one I want to talk about. Now, again, I'm going to shoot back to that in our example, that HR professional, or whatever your body of knowledge is. Don't you realize you can take that body of knowledge? Not only can you outsource it to small businesses who, again, we talked about that part, but you can also take that body of knowledge and start a speaking business.
You can. Yeah.
Right, because, again, there are people who are, again, let's stick with HR. They're at the beginning of their HR career. Mm-hmm. They may pay $199 to hear this 20-year vet talk about how they navigated, how they navigated the career. And, 200 times, 100 people sitting in the room becomes some pretty good money.
It does.
Do that a couple of times a month. Mm-hmm. That ain't bad money.
Not at all.
So, and there are companies who can help you take what it is wrap it into a very engaging presentation, and then, hey, you just rewind and repeat. Mm-hmm. And they help you market it, look for your audience. So that's definitely something to think about. Okay, so let's keep rolling with that, with this example we're on. So you talk about taking this body of knowledge. Now, you could possibly start speaking. Mm-hmm. Maybe speaking is not your thing. Maybe crowds terrify you. You know what else you can do with that, though?
What?
You can wrap that information, your story, into a book.
You sure can.
And people will, it could be audio book, it could be ebook. People love to peek into the lives of other people. So again, you have experiences, you have everything that's you. It is valuable.
It is.
Again,
and it's only one you.
It's only one you, and everybody love to hear about it.
Another thing, a master class.
Yes.
Record it once, put it out there, and people will pay and download it.
That's it. So again, these are just simple ways you can start to bring in revenue with what you already have. So maybe, hopefully, again, this is speaking to you, and you're saying, maybe they own to something. But again, I don't know exactly what I should be doing or what it is I can offer. Let me give you two things to think about. Mm-hmm. What do people come to you for? Like, what do people say, hey, can you do, call so-and-so, she can do. Okay, what do people typically come to you for? And is there something that you do better than other people without even thinking about it?
Wow.
If you, whatever those two things are, mm-hmm. I'm telling you, that's something that you can transition over mm-hmm. into being a side. Because probably, here's the thing, you're probably doing everything we just talked about for free right now. Mm-hmm. I guarantee you are. You're just giving it away, and the people around you saying, "Well, I'm gonna keep getting it until she starts charging me."
and And you got to think out the box as well. So I like to travel. And I usually document our trips. I usually make sure the trips are full of different experiences and sightseeing and things like that. And a very good friend of mine told me, you can sell that.
Yeah.
You can sell your trip itinerary. You can curate trips for people, because she was like, you're good at it.
And you don't have to be a travel agent.
You don't have to be a travel agent. I'm just giving you, you got 4 days in New York. This is how you hit. These are all the different things that you can hit in New York for a family with teenagers.
Right.
People buy it.
People will buy it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so other brainstorming ideas, service-based, coaching. We talked about tutoring, being a consultant. If it's product-based, again, something you already know how to do, crafting.
Templates. Digital products.
Yep.
Even on Etsy, you can buy spreadsheets.
Yeah.
People just make spreadsheets and sell them.
Absolutely. So, guys, again, there's a ton of things. And I hope we're giving you something to think about, a ton of things that you can do that, again, don't require a whole lot just to bring in $500, $1,000, $1,500 a month, $2,000 a month with what you already know, have, and or love.
Now I want to add, so I was going to say don't chase trends.
Okay.
And I'm going to roll that back a little bit.
Now, what do you mean when you say that?
If it's trendy for people to sell T-shirts that say "Mama" on Etsy,
mm-hmm.
don't be the 200th person to sell Mama T-shirts on Etsy.
Okay.
And the T-shirts look like everyone else's.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay to align with a trend, but try to pull a niche out of that trend so that yours is different.
Right. I can see it. Because
it has to be beneficial, it has to be profitable, and you have to get a return on your investment. And the investment, a lot of times, is your time.
Absolutely. So, guys, here's what I want you to do. Grab the pen, grab the pencil, and I want you to jot down 3 skills or experiences that you could teach, create, or offer right now. Just jot down 3 skills that you have, or 3 different experiences that you can, use to build an income stream around, and just see where the thoughts take you. Just let the pen go wild, and please don't stop. Well, I can't. That's a whole different episode. Start
with can.
Yes, start with can. What can you do? Not what can you not do. All right.
Right.
So that's what I want to leave with you in this segment as we push on to how we're going to close things out. So stay with us through the break. When we get back, we're going to talk about
the strategy and structure behind your hustle.
The strategy and structure behind your hustle. Guys, stay with us. We'll be right back shortly. Remember, it's time to elevate.
The Elevate podcast is now accepting sponsors. That means you can get your brand heard by a growing community of go-getters, creatives, and purpose-driven listeners right here on the show. Whether it's a product shout-out, an ad spot, or a custom collaboration, we've got options for you. Want in? Hit us up at elevatenowtraining.com. Let's elevate together.
Today's episode is sponsored by P3 Financial Group, where we enrich the lives of our clients by helping them plan, protect, and prosper. Call P3 for all your tax and financial planning needs at 901-209-4015. That's 901-209-4015.
This is Ebony and Reggie for the Elevate from Burnout to Bliss podcast. And today we are talking about side hustles. Side hustles. So from the first segment, you feel compelled to start a side hustle.
Yep. The time is right.
The time is right because the time is always right.
Mm-hmm.
You've identified what you want to do. So now let's talk strategy. What are some things that can make that transition easy?
Okay.
The first one, and probably one of the most important, is time management.
Oh, man. Ain't no doubt.
Time is a precious, precious asset, and we all feel like there is not enough. So the last thing you want to do is add something in that takes up more time than it's worth. So some tools that I use is micro-blocking. Micro blocking my time. That is setting aside a short block of time, maybe a couple of hours, and for that period of time, you are only working on what you said you were going to work on.
Right.
No distractions. You're not going to go down a rabbit hole for something else. You are there and you're focused on that thing.
And when the alarm goes off,
then you're done.
you got to stop right there.
You got to stop.
I want to share a story real quick about not doing that.
Okay.
About not micro blocking as it relates to a side hustle. Years ago, I think that's wasn't our first. It definitely wasn't our first real estate project, but it was one. It was early on, years ago. I don't know why I got so excited about this one particular project.
I don't either.
But man, I was just gung ho. I was over there more than the contractors were.
It was fun, but
Yeah, it was fun. But I would go pick up my brother-in-law early in the morning. We go get some McDonald's or something, and man, we working. And I'm looking. I'm like, you know what? You might want to get back to your financial planning office every once in a while. But it just became. It was really. Again, it was fun. So that's how I know it wasn't the main thing. But yeah, man, I was all the way. I didn't have any micro blocking going on.
no, none at all. You were all in.
I was all in.
I mean, we sold it at a profit, so it worked out.
It worked out, but again, you always keep the main thing the main thing.
Keep the main thing the main thing. Which leads us to my next point.
Okay.
Setting side hustle boundaries.
Now, what do you mean by that?
What you didn't do with that
okay.
particular house. So know what you're going to do. Know when it's too much.
Yeah.
Set that boundary and don't vacillate on what that boundary is.
That's important. That's really important.
And saying no to protect your energy.
Yes.
You hear people say no is a complete sentence.
That's right. When Courtney was here, she said that, and I was like, wow, she is so right.
She is 100%
I heard
right.
the subject and the predicate all in that. No.
And let's relate that to a side hustle.
Mm-hmm.
Say you make T-shirts. And you make T-shirts for people's birthdays, graduations, etc.
Right.
And then someone comes to you and they want 200 T-shirts.
They drop a corporate order on you.
You know your max order is about 15 or 20. It's okay to say no. You're not passing up on an opportunity because you say no, because that's not what your side hustle is designed as.
Right.
So it's okay to let that one go to someone that's more equipped to handle it versus trying to take on something that may be too much for you.
Exactly. Unless your goal is, which is not what we're talking about today,
right.
But unless your goal is to transition that side hustle into its own business, then of course you wouldn't want to pass it up.
Right.
But what we're talking about today is keeping the side hustle as just that, right? And the main reason is because we want to protect our energy and our peace.
So also make sure you use tools that are out there. There are all kind of tech tools that are designed to make any business venture easy.
Oh, man.
There's Canva. I use Canva a lot. If for calendar purposes, there's Calendly, if that's how you pronounce it. Chat GPT, there's Slack. You can sell your stuff on Etsy. You can sell it on Facebook Marketplace. Fiverr.
Teachable.
Teachable.
That's a site where, again, you body up what it is you know. They will help. That site helps it. I think you load your stuff up on there, and people go out there and pay for it based on the part of they want.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If you need a website for your product, there's Squarespace. Basically, the possibilities, whatever tech tool you're looking for, it's out there. And then if you're a techie, if there's something that's not out there, maybe that's your side hustle to create the tech tools that other people need.
The other people need. Now, one thing I'll add in right here, Ebony, that I think is very important, if as far as a strategy, when you talk about launching your side hustle, always think automation.
Yeah.
Always think automation. Basically, how can I get this thing done with as little of me as possible? That's what automation is. And the more you can automate that thing, oh man, now you're really talking about something. Because now you mess around and put something in place that's running without you, and boy, you really can really put together a nice income stream like that.
Right, along with the automations, templates.
Yes.
Just have a template, and whatever new thing is, just drop it in the templates. Have recurring tasks, and then understand when you need to take a pause.
Yep.
Because you have life.
Right.
Understand when you need to pivot. This may not be working, so let's pivot and go a slightly different direction.
Mm-hmm.
And then understand when you need to scale or if you don't need to scale.
Yeah.
Either way is fine.
Either way is fine. That's right. Now, is there a difference, though? When we talk about being either way is fine, is there ever a point when the side hustle can harm you?
Yes.
Okay.
If it's costing you more money than it's making you,
right,
that's harm.
That's harm.
If it's costing you more time than it's worth, that's harm. If it's negatively affecting your main thing, and you are not prepared or in a position or even have the desire to let the main thing go, then that's harm.
That's right. That's right. So again, guys, what we and I'm saying it for emphasis' sake, we're just talking about something that you can add on to what you're doing. Right? This may or may not even grow to be able to pay all your bills, and that's okay. But what I'm saying is, I know finances, and I know for most people, if there was something that was bringing in, I'm just going to say $1,000 per month on top of what you were doing, that can be life changing. Mm-hmm. It really can. That can be life changing, man. So that's what we're talking about today. That's what we're talking about today.
So what about setting financial goals? Do you think you should set financial goals for your side hustle?
100%. Your side hustle money should have a very specific assignment, right? So, again, if we're working with this $1,000 a month thing, maybe the assignment is, okay, I'm going to accelerate my retirement date by pressing all of this into, a retirement account. Mm-hmm. Or maybe this is going to be the family's travel account, right? So now when you go traveling, it all was paid for from this side hustle.
Man, that's great use.
Oh, absolutely. Or you may say, you know what? All my side hustle money, I'm going to retire debt with it. Mm-hmm. Every dollar of it, I'm knocking out debt. So here's what I would say not to do. Don't let the side hustle money just flow into your regular account for your income and your expenses. Mm-hmm. Give it an assignment. So when you accomplish a thing with it, you can say, wow, I did that just off of
with the side hustle.
Because
hustle, if not, you're not going to see the benefit.
You're not going to feel it.
You won't feel it. It'll just be part of your regular income that ends up getting spent.
Exactly.
And speaking of money, please, please, please don't spend more on starting your side hustle than you are ready to earn. You gotta get the basics right before you buy your logo. You go out and get your branded hoodie. Yep. You got a website. You got your car wrapped. You don't even have a solid idea yet. Right. But everybody knows that Joe Blow is now a handyman. Right. But you don't have a hammer yet.
You don't have it right.
Right. So please take everything and you don't have to run out and get an LLC just because you have a side hustle.
No, I won't do all that.
If at the point that you have a business, by default, you are a sole proprietor. And that requires zero paperwork. Okay? You can be a sole proprietor. There's nothing wrong with that. Right. Everyone feels like you have to rush out and get an LLC before you even start. Let's make sure that the idea works and that there's a possibility for income before you go spend more money.
That's exactly right. One thing I want to throw in here real quick, when you said that, it made me think about my mother makes really good, it's a stew called calico stew.
Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, it's so
I
good,
tried to get her to turn it into a side hustle. She didn't, but anyway. It just popped into my head again. That's something that she does. Her friends have actually, she will give you the recipe, but her friends always say, mine don't taste like yours. And I said, Mama, there you go. You can make it, freeze it, sell it.
I got a call to make when we're done.
I know, man. But anyway.
We need some. I hadn't had it in a while.
It is really good. It's really good.
It's so good.
So, y'all, I'm going to say this as well. If your side hustle, Ebony was, and I thought about this when Ebony was talking, if your side hustle is costing your peace, it's just too expensive.
It is.
Then that's why she's saying, don't run out and do all those things that complicate it. And those things sometimes make you feel busy, make you feel like you're moving the ball down the field. But I mean, it don't take all that is what we're saying. Keep it simple. Keep it simple.
And boundaries. We talked about boundaries earlier. Boundaries matter. Do not let your side hustle steal time from your family. Don't let it affect your health or your healing. As a matter of fact, instead of letting it steal time for your family, figure out how you can incorporate your family into the side hustle so it's something that you all do together.
Yep. I remember what that makes me think of is when we got those apartments down in South Memphis. Mm-hmm. And what we decided to do, I mean, these apartments were on the brink. Matter of fact, they were in environmental court when we purchased them. And so, I mean, they was ready to be torn down. But what we did, especially came to the landscape, the cleaning and the landscaping, we just turned it into family events.
Yeah.
On Sunday afternoons, we go down there and make a big deal of it and have my girls out there, my grandson, we all just making it fun. Finish doing that and go get ice cream.
So, funny story. So, we were down there working on the landscape.
I remember that.
And landscaping. And Reggie posted a picture on Facebook of our landscaping job. And he had probably 5 or 6 people ask, like, for the number to the landscaping company. Right. And he's like, look, they don't do it for a living. It's hours, and we were doing it ourselves. But
yeah, I remember that.
I guess it could have been a side hustle.
It could have been a side hustle. Yeah. That's a back-breaking side hustle, though.
Also, building breaks.
Yeah, you got to take a break.
You don't have to, just because you decided to have a side hustle does not mean that you have to do it all the time. You can do it when you want to do it. That's why it's on the side.
That's why it's on the side.
Go ahead.
So, now, Ebony, definitely stand behind that advice that you don't have to run out get LLC. You don't have to do all that. However, the IRS still would like to know about what it is you're doing.
Yes.
Talk about that a little bit.
If you make money,
yep,
the IRS wants to know about it. So
they like to be in on it.
They do. I get that question a lot. How much money do I need to make before I have to claim it? The IRS wants you to claim every dollar that you make. The good thing is that if you have any expenses associated with making that money, then you can deduct those and only pay taxes on the difference. But the IRS pretty much wants to know, even if it's in cash.
Doggone right. You can believe that if you want to, that if it's in cash, you ain't got to pay taxes on it. Yeah. Keep on.
And the bottom line is your side hustle should support your life and not become your life. So just keep that in mind, y'all.
Absolutely. So as we kind of, bring this plane in, one thing I want to put back on your mind that we talked about in the first segment, and that is what made us do this segment today, and why should you be considering doing a side hustle? Guys, I'm telling you, listen to what I'm telling you. Lean in close to the speaker. It's time, lean in. It's time for you to be more self-reliant. It's time to be more self-reliant. I'm telling you, these institutions, man, jobs, the government, things are changing. Things are changing. It used to be a time where even if the job let you down, there was certain social safety nets. Mm-hmm. Those things are being snatched away, man. You better wake up and smell the coffee.
There are no safety nets.
No, there are. No one's coming, man. So you need to start doing things now, and you need to start teaching this to your children, to people around you, that, we need to be doing something.
And we talked about not being too old to start a side hustle. You can't be too young either.
That's exactly right.
You cannot be too young.
Because we definitely make our girls get out and hustle, get it. And, you want to go on that school trip? Yeah, that's fine, but you paying for it.
Or at least some of it.
Yeah, need to pay for all of it. Anyway, so, Eb, we hadn't done this in a while. We need to. Is there any other closing remarks you want to make before we tell them how to? Go ahead.
Do some soul searching and decide, are you ready to start a side hustle that elevates your life? And if you are, let this be your permission to move. Okay. But move strategically.
Move strategically.
Yeah. So what you were going to say?
I was giving my sign off.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
Yep. So, guys, this has been a really good. I hope it's been a good episode. It's been fun for us to do it. I'm all about hustling. I think you got to be educated, but I think you also got to hustle. So get your side hustle going. But if you want to connect with Ebony or me, you can always reach us by phone here at our office. That's 901-209-4015. If you want to be a guest on the show, if you want to, get a promo spot, if you want to, whatever it is you want to do.
You have ideas for the show.
If you got ideas, we'd love to hear from you. Also, and of course for our financial planning business, financial planning, and Eb's the accountant, doing business formation, tax, and things like that. But also, you can reach out to me on Facebook at Money Jedi, Reginald Clark Money Jedi, or Instagram at THE Money Jedi.
And I'm on all social media channels at Eb the Advisor, EBTHEADVISOR. You can also find our podcast on YouTube at Elevate Now Podcast. And go on YouTube and drop us a comment about what your side hustle ideas are. So we can help you build it the smart way. Just keep tuning in.
Keep tuning in, guys. That's what this show is all about. We got to get out of your way. Hope this has been good. Remember, it's time to elevate.